Hello again, everybody. It's the TBI guy speaks or Chad Klosterman. Don't forget, go to YouTube, like and subscribe to my channel, share it with everybody because there's a lot of people that could get a lot of good information out of this. This evening, what we're going to talk about is the new you. This could be from anything from going through something where you lose an arm, paralyzed arm, a leg, anything, any bodily piece and part that you might have had at one time that you no longer have. Function. There we go. See, my wonderful producer, we're working it out so that way she's using her device instead of my device because she had a little mix up with it last time, but that's okay. It all works out. And I also told her that, hey, when I forget something, because that's another thing that happens, believe it or not, when you have a traumatic brain injury. I know it's crazy, right? But anyways, anything that you used to be able to do that you might not do now, we're going to kind of go over that a little bit today. For example, back in the day before my accident, which was 18 years ago, wow.
18 and a half?
18 and a half, because actually we're coming really close to the date that I was released from the hospital after serving my 3 months in a coma in Georgia, and then my month at Select Specialties in a subacute unit in down at Ohio State, and then a month at Dodd Hall. It was December 15th of 2001 that I was released and finished.
2000.
2000. Man. Yeah, that's true, because my accident happened in 2000. It was 2001, the first full year after I got out. Okay, see, that's exactly why my producer is speaking her piece and trying to make any corrections over my mistakes because, well, I've got a head injury. That's right. So, anyways, the old Chad. Well, I used to be an engineer. I used to be not a great golfer by any means, but I used to golf. I was a decent bowler. You know, I loved working on my own cars. A lot of things that it typically takes two hands to do. But what you got to understand is, even though you may be limited as to how well you can do things, it doesn't mean you can't do them and enjoy them. I used to see, I was kind of ambidextrous. I did a lot of strength things left-handed, a lot of finesse things right-handed. So if I bowled left-handed. I wrote right-handed. I threw left-handed. I would bat right-handed. See, I was all kinds of messed up. I had no rhyme or reason to one way or another. And when they asked me if I was left-handed or right-handed, I say I don't know. And they say, "What hand do you write with?" "You write with your right hand." "Okay, right-handed." "But I throw left-handed." Whatever, however that goes. But anyways, I used to be a pretty decent soldier. I had multiple MOSs, which is your job in the military. Heavy equipment operator, a light equipment operator, a semi-driver, combat engineer, where we got to build landmines and blow stuff up, and combat lifesaver. All training that I did when I was in the military. I enjoyed it. Along with everybody else, when you're in the military, oh, I can't wait to get out, blah, blah, blah. You know, we all talk that way, even though sometimes we just say that because of everybody else's being like that. And I was the same way, because after the fact that my accident happened and I couldn't do my duty as in serving my country, I was pretty disappointed about it.
Especially after 9/11.
Especially after 9/11. Both of my brothers I figured were going to be going, and they're both younger than me, and the big brother couldn't go. And I felt like I was letting them down, along with you guys and all my other fellow Americans that are firm believers in this country and what we stand for. It hurt. I was really, really disappointed. But life goes on. So, you know, like I said, I used to golf, I used to bowl, and I'm not so good at that anymore.
But you still do it.
But I still do it. And that's one thing you have to understand is after you go through something like this, you got to understand and respect the new you. Because while you may not be able to drive a ball 250 or 300 yards like you used to, that doesn't mean you can't go out and hit a ball with one hand and still enjoy it. I've actually hit a golf ball over 200 yards with one arm. We have a family golf tournament every year where we have 4-man scrambles, teams of 4, where you have players 1 through 4, 1 being the best, 4 being the worst. And there have been times when me being the 4 guy, because I'm the worst, have had better shots than my other players on a drive, for example, because I had one that happened to go 200 yards that was straight as an arrow, where everybody else hooked or sliced their other one. And so it's really cool. I was the only one to hit my ball on the green on a par 3. I mean, that's awesome. You know, so don't think because you're limited now that you can't do the things you used to do and enjoy. I work on cars. I used to do that. I wouldn't say a lot more than I do now, but a lot easier than I do now. You know, I still change my own oil. I will change a starter in a car. I change alternators. I mean, brakes. I change a lot of brakes. But it's because I want to have that fulfillment of being able to do it myself. And because I always used to do this. So I always felt like, I still feel like, if there's a way I can do it, I'm going to do it. Because I don't like to be dependent on anybody else. And that's another thing that comes along with, you know, trying to do things and being the new you. It doesn't mean you can't do the things that you used to do, but you just have to figure out a way to do them differently.
And sometimes you need to ask for help.
Sometimes you need to ask for help, exactly.
Because pride is an issue.
It is a huge issue with me. My priest, Father Barry, said, you have to be careful, you're too prideful. And it's because I want to feel like I am not dependent on everybody. But we're all dependent on God. There is nobody on this earth that is not dependent on God in one way, shape, or form. And if you think that you don't and that you're not, you're lying to yourself, because everybody needs God in their lives, especially going through something like this. And the number one question we always have is, why me? Well, my answer is, why not me? I can do this stuff and I can enjoy my life. Do I get frustrated sometimes? Of course I do. We all do. I mean, people without disabilities get frustrated with their lives because they're not doing the jobs that they want to do, or because they're not playing the sports that they want to play, or just the simplest things in life that we sometimes just lose ourselves in, with having a sense of loss that we can't do something. The problem is that it's not that we can't do something, it's maybe that we just don't do it as well as what we could or what we would like to, or in my case, how I used to. I was never a great golfer. I was a decent golfer. I think on our rankings, I might have been a 3. I used to be a 3-man, okay? So that's one up from the bottom, but that's okay. It's all about having fun, and especially with the family. Oh, it's a great time. I love our 4-man scramble team. We do it every year, the Saturday of Father's Day. And the first year that, after my accident, my uncle, he didn't invite me because he didn't know how I would take it. Oh, I was upset. I was extremely upset and disappointed. And when he told me about it and he said he didn't know what to do, I said, you invite me because I'm going to do it. I will find a way to make myself a functional player that can help my team out, whatever team it is I'm on. And now it's kind of ironic because I'm the 4-man that most teams want, because I am a decent 4-man golfer, because I have a decent job with my short shots. And getting lucky with the drive once in a while when everybody else has a bad shot. So, you know, it's not that you can't do stuff. It's just maybe that you don't do it as well. And you got to remember, it doesn't matter how well you play a game if you enjoy playing the game. Do I go out on a golf course on a regular, time? No, I don't. I think I've gone golfing maybe 4 or 5 times where I golfed 9 holes on my own, and I can actually say one time I did par a hole with a par 3 by myself from start to finish. It was awesome. It was actually the weekend before my brother was taking off in his second tour of duty overseas to Iraq, and it was a very fulfilling day. Regardless of how well I golfed, it didn't matter. I got to spend a day golfing with my brother before he was taken off to go fight this war that that should have been taken care of a long time ago, but a certain person running the country was not letting us do what we needed to do. So, anyways, moving on from that, like I said, there's just so many things you have to understand. I used to be an engineer, for example. That was my job. I was a computer-assisted draftsman. I had designs and things in companies, and a lot of mental things that I was able to do because of my math skills, this, that, and the other. I don't have those same skills anymore. It's pretty hard for me to be able to do that job. I did have one job doing that after my accident that lasted about 4 years, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. But having a head injury, I was told that I was doing something differently than what they wanted me to do, but it's the way I had been doing it for the 4 years I was there, and I was actually doing better work than the individual I replaced. Well, once I was told to change,
It's hard to change when you
I
have
got a
head
lot
injury.
slower because I don't work well with change. It takes time with change, especially after you've had a head injury, because you find what works, and that's the way you do it, and you do it that way all the time. You don't have the ability to change things fast and make a new repetition out of the way you do things. It just doesn't work. And when that didn't work because they changed the way I did stuff, I became slower and less proficient, and essentially I was replaced by a computer that could draw, I guess. That's the story through the grapevine anyways, but it's one of those things that you also have to realize with a head injury. Just, you have to find new ways to do things. You have to let people know how these things work with you, if they are willing to hire you, because I told everybody, every company I interviewed with after my accident, after I got my second degree in computer-assisted drafting and design, I always told them, I'm not like I used to be. I am slower. Yes, I have another degree, but it was to refresh my memory. And for some reason, they couldn't accept that because I didn't sound like I would have these issues, even though I told everybody exactly what to expect.
99% of the population does not understand what it's like to have a brain injury.
Exactly.
So they don't understand that what goes on beneath the surface is not visible.
And that is exactly right, because I'm very fortunate that I can talk the way I do, having suffered the head injury that I have, because most people suffering a traumatic brain injury, their speech cognizance is very bad, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to speak with the best of them. Of course, that's one thing that my family was kind of hoping was going to slow down, but once they took the trach out of me and plugged the hole, I was talking a mile a minute, and they're like, oh, pull that thing out. Quiet him down.
No, they didn't.
But they thought that, and they did tell me that.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Funny, haha.
Yeah. So, the biggest thing of this video is to remember that, even though you're not bowling a 250 pin game and it's only 100 if you're lucky, which I never did do a 250 game. I think my high score was a 213 game, and I averaged at the time I think around a 170. Now I average about a 70. But I enjoy it's the fun. And the thing I love to do is make fun of myself, because it does two things. One, anybody that doesn't really understand or know what's going on, they always have questions but are weary to ask them because they're afraid of offending me. So if I make a fool out of myself, which I don't think I'm a fool, because I just enjoy having fun and I don't get embarrassed. Ever. If I can make fun of myself and I can ease the tension around me it makes it easier on everybody. That way, I don't, well, everybody except for my mother. My mom despises the fact that I make jokes about myself.
As she's Mama Bear.
But she's Mama Bear, and that's just the way she's going to be. And I understand that. But to save face for me, I do it to help everybody else around me and let them understand that they can joke with me, and there's nothing that you're going to say that's going to offend me about this, what society calls as a disability. It's not, we all have disabilities. Jesus Christ is the only person to walk this earth that didn't have a disability, period. And I'm looking at disability in layman's terms, okay?
You already did this.
Okay, my producer says I already did this, but it's worth repeating.
We all have a struggle.
We all have a struggle. We all have things that we cannot do.
That we'd like to do.
That we would like to do. It's that simple. And on that note, everybody, I believed that I hit just about everything I wanted to this evening. And don't forget, because I know I put this on a lot of different sites, and not everybody sees me on YouTube, but YouTube is where I want you to go to like and subscribe and share with everybody, because there's somebody out there that needs to hear what this stuff is that I'm saying. And it's not because of me, it's because of I have information I think will help anybody that's going through issues, whether it's a paralyzed arm, a blind eye, a traumatic brain injury, a stroke, anything, because I see people that's going through this stuff all the time. Matter of fact, we have a support group at St. Rita's that we go to on the third Wednesday of every other month that has people with strokes, with head injuries, with, a whole slew of different things. And we all talk about them, and, we all get ideas off of each other about what we can do for our particular situations, because everybody's situations are different. It doesn't matter. You can take a dozen people with head injuries, and they could all have basal skull fracture head injuries, but they're all going to be different because it all affects everybody different. So it's something that you need to be able to talk with others about and get information, and maybe they'll have an idea that you didn't have. So once again, YouTube, TBI-Guy Speaks. Like, subscribe, and share. Thanks a lot, and you all have a great evening. And I don't remember what's going on for next week's video, so I'm sorry there's no teaser. But, hey, this time we should have the video or the audio all the way through on this one, because my producer went to her equipment instead of mine. So, you all have a great week, and God bless.